Hey, good morning, people. Yeah, it's a bad hair day. Hey, back in sunny South Florida, swamps, the satanic swamps. So we talked about that. The enemy dictated from Sarasota, Manatee County, um, all the spiritual mapping, set up his throne down here. So we can talk about that in another video, but let's go back to the time, back to the future. So we're not in political times. That's what the devil wants you to think. Politics, many ticks. Poly, which means many ticks. Politics. We're not in political time. Politic time. We're not in biblical time. So if you go back to biblical time, Bible means books, you're going back into history and you're repeating the same stupidity or the blessings of the past. But that's part of the awakening, to see how time has this patterns of repeat, repeat, repeat. But let's jump back into the 2003 and a half, where we wasn't sure when the third millennial day would happen, because time, natural time, spiritual time, political time. So we're not in, at least I'm not in natural time. This meat suit lives in this natural time, but my spirit man is in millennial, third millennial day, the third day time. So we're going back to the understanding that we are beyond time. If you've entered into the third day, spiritually speaking, then you also have entered into a whole new realm of understanding of how to interact in this time. We're in this world, but not of this world. I know it's kind of hard to comprehend, but we're in this world, but not of this world. So 2003 and a half, then we got the 21 years, which equals the 21 days when Daniel prayed that Michael warred on the behalf. He had war on behalf of Daniel's prayer. Then he reported to Daniel what happened when Daniel prayed. He said, immediately I was in war. And they don't tell you a lot of stuff because they try to butcher the book, so they don't. It's kind of like they said Daniel's prayer was held up 21 days. No, shut up. On behalf of a humble man's prayer, Michael warred 21 days. Now, time is not time. So the 70 weeks of Daniel, or 77 weeks of Daniel, however you decipher that, they realized was 77 years or 70 years, depending on how you look at it. But we're in spiritual time right now, to where 2003 and a half, we're finishing the 21 years and we're in a leap year. So we're in spiritual time. If you want to live in natural time, repeat the same stupidity of all the ancestors and fall in the same ditches, fine. If you want meager blessings that never totally restored the city, the town, was never went into the millennial time in times past, be stuck in that if you want. Be in a religious time, the legion authorization of the fall, the Luciferian time. So whatever. So now we're in a leap year. And instead of waiting to 21, after the 21 days, which is 21 years, go back to Daniel. So the time is shortened a little bit in your time frame. My time frame, like I said, I live in the third millennial time. I live in spiritual time. That means I see in spirit, believe in spirit, walk in spirit, in the spiritual realm, in the heavenly, harmonious time. Even though this container, which doesn't really contain me, because I'm losing my, losing my earthiness. So, okay, so if we talk in April, sometime in April, approximate time, that the 20 will be in the 22nd year, because time is man's way of trying to figure things out. He had to add another day to the calendar every 4 years. Month of February, we're in a leap year. So we're going to leap forward in this time. So in the month of April, so we have this the solar eclipse. So the solar eclipse is going through certain towns that are named Nineveh, certain towns that have biblical names. So we're talking about a major metamorphosis. So, the caterpillar turns into butterfly. The caterpillar gets wraps himself in this cocoon and like a sleep, like a dormant time. So we are going, in a sense, a time of dormant time. Okay, that's the vessel. Like we're not running to and fro. We're listening, we're hearing, we're cementing a relationship. We're going to the third heaven, the throne room. So 7:14 of Revelation, everybody's invited in, but if you don't have the code of humility, you will not partake of the revelation of Jesus Christ and the revelation of all the ones that went before us in the angelic realm. You will not partake because unless you humble yourself, 7:14. So there's these massive ministries, pastors, that cannot partake because they have all the trappings of the world. They won the world. But they're in a major dangerous time that they could lose their soul. They could easily lose their soul. So don't fear the one that can take your vessel. Fear the one who can erase your soul, which is God. From this time, spiritual time, physical time, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not cementing your relationship. Seventh day God rested into God's rest relationship. So we're ending this 21 years, going in the 22nd year, 2-2. Jesus sends them out 2 by 2. Going in the 22nd year already, because they're only a few weeks away. The 22nd year. So we're going into the last 7, and there's always 7 days, 7 weeks, 70 weeks, 7 years, which if you understood time, you are present in the present time to be in his presence, to alter time, past, present, future. So how do you understand this? Go back to Moses. Moses wrote the whole book of Genesis. His vessel did not exist in that time, but he wrote the whole book. Now Isaiah, which are 66 chapters, wrote Jesus born, lived, died, resurrected, restored cities, the desolations of many generations, restored, restoration of the earth, all the way through even this time and beyond. He wrote about because he was catapulted in the future time. So Moses, past time, Isaiah, future time. So you need to understand the past in order to get beyond the drudgery of the repeat of the past, going around the hamster wheel of time and never getting off the merry-go-round, never getting off the hamster wheel, never going forward, just treading water, treading time. And so Isaiah, so you read these books, Daniel's book of Revelation, Isaiah's book of Revelation, Ezekiel's book of Revelation, and you put it together because some of them seem a little far out, but they're talking about man and man's condition because all the symbolization is man, bad, good, launch, forward, cherubim, Nephilim, seraphim, the launch, the 6-winged creatures, which is man, number of man is 6. He gains his 2 wings. With 2 wings he flew. It's like the little girl in the movie said, every time the bell rings, the angel gets his wings. So man, messenger, not really the angels that we think about are angels, but the messengers of the time, getting their wings to no longer be earthy, to teleport, translate. See, the enemy's trying to distract. Teleport, translate in all time frames in order to rectify time, and everything's done in the present time. So Jesus was slain before the foundation of the earth. So when his vessel was slain, it went back in time and forward in time to cancel out all the drudgery of things. It says he was slain before the foundation of the earth. Now, because we're coming up on a resurrection day, people are thinking, oh, he's slain about 2,000 years ago, and God is dead because Satan killed him. So now they don't only just have God is dead 1, God is dead 2. Now they're working on God is dead 3 because the religious people kill the Spirit of God. Spiritually, they're quenching the Spirit of God, killing the Spirit of God, so that you never come to spiritual maturity, which is the number 7. On the 7th day, God rested. Everything was good and very good. So the enemy's goal is to not allow you, hell forbid you to launch. Failure to launch. They even had to make a movie about that. Failure to launch. Failure to launch out. Failure to meet your destiny. Failure to be the daddy or the mother, brother, sister, cousin. Who is my brothers? Who is my sisters? Jesus said, who is my mother? So we're launching into this time. So April is a physical time, month of 4, foundation time. The eclipse 4-8. 8 is infinity or new beginnings. Spiritually speaking, 8 means new beginnings because it's past a 7. 7 is spiritual completion. 8 is new beginnings, which could be another 1 because now you're in the 3rd day. Now you're being reborn in the 3rd day. Now you're realizing in the 3rd day. And everything you do in the present time affects past, present, future. So kind of far out. So if you want to know a lot of people about Trump, okay, a lot of people don't understand and don't know that past, present, and future, like Isaiah saw the future in order to change the present time even now. Moses saw the past to where we wouldn't go back into the drudgery and the insanity of the hamster wheel of time, the chronological time, chronic time. So there are people that spiritually go into the future and see the future and report back to the present time in order to take down all the devils, all the Nephilim that are living here in this time, the offspring of the Nephilim. And it's ratcheted up in intensity since the 1950s that they go into the future and report into the present to change the future. And they not only change the future, and they change the past and the present because they go forward in time, in the present time, which changes even the past because they've already launched into the future. I know, it's mind-boggling. Okay, then, because they do it long enough, time and time enough, that they actually go there physically, vessel and all. And I talked about, coming, like if I'd be out of town and when I go to bed, I'd say, Lord, I just want to sleep next to my wife tonight. And I wake up next to my wife in Florida or wherever. Wake up next to her, not only spiritually in the spirit man, but physically in the physical body. Past, present, future time. We're not earthy, so we're not stuck in this time. We're not stuck in this earthen vessel. We don't have these concrete galoshes. This meat suit is being transformed from the caterpillar into the butterfly. So what does that mean? We're getting our wings. So now the caterpillar goes in this state of metamorphosis of the cocoon. So a lot of people are going, should I do this? Should I do that? I need to run to and fro. I need to go conquer. I need to do this. I need to do that. Well, that's the timeline that the enemy has put on us, a cruel taskmaster, that we have to punch a time clock 9 to 5. We get up, we have our coffee, we eat breakfast, we go to work. We do the same thing every day, fix a little bit different stuff, and then clock out at 5 and just want to get home to the easy chair and veg out on TV. But it's supposed to be about family. Jesus conquered the devil to usher in the harvest, which is God's family, in order for us to understand how to ascend into the 3rd day, how to get into the, how to ascend into heaven, Revelation 7:14. So, and then the disclosure, as long as you told him of science fiction, you could disclose. And the enemy didn't care because you told them it was fictional. It was not real. It's like saying it's a lie, even though it's the truth. Just like the enemy tells lies to cancel out the truth. So you back in the 60s, you had the Star Trek and it had the A emblem, which is the alliance, the Interplanetary Alliance, which in Star Trek they called it the Federation of Planets, starships of the Federation. Then the new Star Trek, the second generation, they also had the A, but instead of having the flip phone, which we didn't get the flip phone till the 90s, but the flip phone was unveiled on television, on the television, the vision that they tell, and showed you the flip phone, early 1960s. I think it was like 62, 63, something like that. Okay, then you can finally get to flip phone in the 90s. Beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life down here. They're all stuck in the past history. So wake up. So then you got the second generation has the A, and then they just touch their A, and that's their communication, because it went down all the way to microprocessors, microchips, like this telephone that I'm recording from right now. Used to take a whole building. Used to take up a whole building. Now I can hold in a whole building of revelation, of time, of knowledge, of access to the accelerated knowledge and the acceleration of the microprocessors in my hand. So the Alliance of Planets, they said it was the Federation. We're from the Starship Enterprise, Federation of Planets. So we have to, you have to go back and look at that. So they unveiled a lot in the time to where, and you thought it was fiction. Gene Roddenberry and all these people partook of the Interplanetary Alliance. The Alliance of Planets, Galactic Federation, whatever the words may be that they talk about in the different YouTubes that you watch. It's an Interplanetary Alliance, if you want to call it that. The Alliance of Planets is for the good of mankind with God. And they used to say where no man has gone before. They're talking about Earth man, earthy man. They're not talking about the angelic, the spirit man, the third day, the time that we are in. So back to understanding, okay, I'm in this world but not of this world. I'm partaking to some degree. I'm affecting action with God's love. And it causes a major effect with the effect into action in this time. By getting the revelation of Jesus Christ from heaven, from the heavens, from Jesus and the Moses, Isaiah, Enoch, and all the other ones that went before us, Joseph, and going beyond their time. And in order for God to finish up his works, to go beyond, there has to be at least 100,000 or thousands of Moses' mantles, Joseph's mantles, Isaiah's mantles, Ezekiel's mantles, Paul's mantles, and in this time to where, how is God going to finish? How's God going to finish this? He has 1,000 people doing 100,000 different things in 1,000 different places in order to usher in time to go beyond time to finish the works that Jesus started in order for us to ascend in the third heaven, third day time, and still exist. It's a lot to take in. So you're going to have to rewatch, re-listen, and we'll try to explain the best we can to where I'm in this time, but I'm not of this time. I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. Can you comprehend? Can you even grasp it? To where there's no limitations. Isaiah went way beyond there's no limitations. Even though he went way far into the future, he could go way far into the past. But it wasn't pertinent for him to write about that because Moses went way back in the past. And then you got when Joshua took Jericho, it was out of step of natural time. So when they tried to say he took Jericho at this time, that time, It boggled the minds of the scientists because they said that it was out of time. And I forget if it was 200 years earlier, 200 years later. It was out of time because they took Jericho in the spiritual realm before they took it in the natural. So you're out of step of the total will of God, the narrow way, the narrow will of God. So then on Star Trek, they unveiled the Q, which a lot of these QAnons and whatever, and a lot of people think it's all fiction. So if you look at the stories of the Q, and when I got a computer in the 90s, it had that Star Trek guy that played the Q. And the Q, they don't consider them separate. They don't give them names because they're all one in God. So they don't have a name like Frederick, Prophet Frederick, or Natasha, or these crazy cats out here. They don't have these names because they don't need to be defined separately. They're not separate from God. So when the Q kept coming in the second generation, then the last time they played it, Q graduated higher than he ever was. And he was amazed. And the captain finally graduated because he was stuck in time. I'm the captain, I got to do this, got to do that. And then in the last scene, he goes in because they're playing cards and says, may I join you? So he relinquished the control of the Enterprise over to whoever handles it in the evening and relaxes and actually joins the crew for a game of cards. And then Miss Troy says, you are always welcome, Captain. So he finally fellowshipped with the hierarchy that he was over as a captain. And if you go back in time, he puts Captain on trial back in the past, and it's all gothic and weird. And he's talking about past, present, future. And then the one time where they have Captain Kirk went to the past. No, not Captain Kirk. It was Captain Picard. Went back to the past, back to the present time, back in the future. And he had the phasers on in all three times, past, present, future. And he had to learn the lesson that the Q was a test proctor. He was your test proctor. Even though this is fictional, God has people here that are your test proctors. So you may think it's bad, may think it's good, until you understand the revelation. You're in a test. It's only a test. It's not from the American Broadcasting System. No, it's only a test from God himself. So he realized that all he had to do was turn off the phaser in the past. So in the present time, he had to realize he had to turn the phaser off in the present. He had to turn the laser off in the past. And in the future, because Q said it would destroy all time, that mankind would not exist because of his Picard's choices, but he wouldn't tell him what his choice was. Picard had to realize that all he had to do was stop trying to fix it because God is in control. But he's the captain of a ship, the master of his fate. How many people fail because you think you are your little God, your little Lucifer, trying to build your kingdom? So that's why a lot of ministers in this time will not partake, because they got all the trappings of the world. They got multi-million dollars. They got yachts. They can go anywhere. They have airplanes. They have jet planes. They can go anywhere they want, anytime they want. They can want for all the women, just like the Nephilim. And a lot of them are majorly guilty of having many concubines, many slaves, many harem. It's like Hunter Biden, never was responsible at all. Nephilim offspring. Looks human, is human to whatever degree, but he's like the Ferengi lizards. So as long as it's just fiction, we can tell you the truth. So in this time, it's easy to get canceled because if you tell the truth, the CIA, which is Meta, Facebook, is all CIA intel to get you to freely give your information out in the World Wide Web so they can keep tabs of you. So that if you wake up, they'll keep more tabs on you and they may take you out. But what if you're no longer earthy, no longer sin that lies within? So Jesus could not have been killed, could not have been hung, could not have been nailed. The water couldn't swallow him up. The storms could not swallow him. The guards could not put their hands on him because he had no sin. He had no lies that entered in chapter 3. The lies entered chapter 3. Even Adam partook of the lies, caused them to become flesh, caused them to no longer be spiritual, supernatural. They couldn't have lost a tooth, couldn't have broken an arm, because they were not natural. So the earthiness would have no effect. The earth would have no effect on them because they were guardians over the garden. Adam and Eve. It's in the first chapter of Genesis. Day and night are capitalized because they're talking about Adam and Eve. Then they re-explain in every chapter. They re-explain. They were born before they were born. Day and night was created before it was created. God created himself. Even though he's created, before he was created, he created himself. He spoke light. He spoke light in the second heaven, created everything thereon. So you just got to get out of your brain. Sometimes the brain just gets in the way. So you got to be spirit man, spirit filled. So then a bullet, this flesh, when this flesh gets more and more spiritual, turns into the butterfly effect. It's not really a butterfly. It's just a metamorphosis that if there's no sin that lies within, then nothing can have effect. No effect. So this flesh cannot grab a bullet, cannot receive a bullet, cannot die. No weapon formed can be against it, against your flesh, because your flesh is being translated. So in the future, don't test it, because you don't know when the time comes when God will translate you, transform your energies, because every minute particle in this body is in flux. So the water couldn't swallow up Jesus. They could not have died until Melchizedek applied the sins spiritually to Jesus. Then it was time allotted for the soldiers to come up and take him into custody. And then Peter cuts off the ear, which is funny. Peter, you're not listening. It was Peter cutting off his own ear. Put it back on the soldier. Transform that poor soldier. He was going, oh my God. But he had his job to do. Destined as a vessel to grab a hold of the collar of Jesus. So Jesus had to become earthy. And then the sins had to be beaten onto him with sticks and stones and shrapnel and whatever, whipped and tore the skin off of him and everything else. And they say that people, when they were slinging the blood, people were crying because they were being healed of their lies, of their ailments. So your lies cause you to be earthiness, cause your concrete galoshes, cause your anchors to this realm to where you can't translate, you can't translocate, you cannot be a spiritual person because you're identifying with fat, beard, food, stuff. But if you identify as a Christ in a Christian, Christ likeness, God's Spirit within you, then you'll go for the translation, the translation, teleportation, the translation of every cell in your body turn into a heavenly being to like unto an angel. Not an angel like you think, but it's the redeemed of the earth, chapter 6 of Isaiah. The seraphim, the redeemed of the earth, flew. With 2 wings they flew to the third heaven, and they're no longer earthy. So the new creature, the new creation is the seraphim, the singers, the seraphim. No longer the cherubim, no longer the Nephilim, defiled Nephilim, never to be redeemed never. You think of the words. God is the Word, God is the Word. God was the Word in the beginning. God's secret name is the Word. So everything is based on the Word, the revelation of Jesus Christ in order to transform you, translate you. But you have to receive the prayer, you have to receive the knowledge, you have to receive it and agree with it in order for your body to transform and to translate into this new creature that God is birthing in this time. So you go back to the, like these solar eclipses. Like back in the day, we'd take a box or poke a little needle hole and we'd watch the eclipse without hurting our eyes. And you could buy special glasses and all that without hurting your eyes. It was a learning curve. So you have all these people, excuse me, you have all these people in this time that are fearful. Satan unrolled out the fear in 2020. Eyesight's 2020. Hindsight's 2020. So rolling out another fear card. Oh, you need to stock up on food. This solar eclipse may kill you, may ruin you. But God is lining up the sun, the moon, and the planets. And the sun is sparking flares, coronal mass ejection, because everything's realigning because it's going to transform the Christ in vessels. Daniel's 3 friends got thrown in the fire and they didn't get burned up. So right now, the flesh, if your flesh, spiritual fire can feel like burning. But if you grab a hold of Revelation, grab a hold of Jesus' robe, who touched me? The woman with the issue of blood. She had a blood problem. So she knew that Jesus, even before he shed his blood, could heal if I could just touch his robe. So we're going through this metamorphosis and there's nothing to fear. The sun, the moon, the stars, God's lining them all up to transform you. Now, what is the definition of the sun? It's not the S-U-N, it's the S-O-N, spiritually speaking. The day. What is the night or the moon that has a lesser light that reflects off the S-O-N? The S-O-N reflects to the woman, which is symbolic of the moon. This is talked about in Genesis when Joseph gave his daddy the dream. He said, I saw the sun, the moon, and the stars bow down to me. Saw the wheat bow down to him. And he knew Jacob, Rachel, Leah even, his 2 wives. So, yeah, Mom and I are going to bow down to you, you stupid, prideful bleep and bleep. But Joseph is like, this is just my dream. I'm just telling you my dream. Why you treat me like a stooge? And why the brothers all mad at me? Because they're jealous. They're jealous before they were even jealous that Joseph would be the right-hand man. So the sun, S-O-N, and the moon, the womb of man, reflecting what's reflecting off the sun, where God spoke into the second heaven and birthed himself, if you want to call it that. But that's all we can comprehend at the moment because we're a little pea brain. So imagine this. So then the stars. So back in Genesis, Abraham's children would be like the sand on the seashore, the stars in heaven without number, which means they keep reproducing unlimited because God is translating us, transforming us into his sons through the revelation and the cementing of our relationship to birth hundreds of thousands more, billions, quadrillions and more, the Galactic Federation. This will change the galaxies. All the angels, the saints of the past, and all the angels and all the angelic realm and all the ones that are connected to that. Like I say, we try to comprehend, go back and watch the cues, Star Trek, to understand God's doing this. All eyes are on the earthen vessels, because they know God's going to transform these creatures, these earthen vessels. So in order to comprehend it, you got the ET phone home, and you have the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which they told you was fiction. And then we have the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Like you can go type in Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, he's a regular medical doctor, tried to disclose the creatures of the fifth kind. Now, 5 is hand, 5 is favor, 5 is grace, 5 is the trans. All the way up till now, there's 5, all the way up to 5 definitions of the new man, the new heaven and the new earth in mankind. And man's number is 6, because on the 6th day God created man. So we are going to are translating to be, one to be in him, one to be with him. We are called the 6th kind, which is way beyond the 5, the 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th kind of the translation of these creatures. And if you want to talk about the creatures, go back to Ezekiel's wheels, and you can type it in where they have the face of a man, and they have the face, they have the voice of the lion, face of a lion, and they have the head of an eagle, or the face of an eagle, which means they fly into the third heaven. 3 definitions. Eagle, America's the eagle, but the eagle always represents prophets, apostles, leadership, okay? Then the face of a lion, which is the voice and the authority of God himself through Jesus. Then they have the strength of an ox, a beast, much strength, but they're not creatures that are all 3-headed with the feet of an ox, okay? The face of an eagle. Okay, the face of man, low-life man, lowly man. Now type in where Jesus says he made, they said it made him a little lower than the angels for the transcendence, for the ascension, a little lower than the angels. So then he went above the angels. But God humbled himself, made him a little lower than angels in order to transcend, in order for us to ride on his shirt tails into the new millennium, getting these 2 new wings. Because, the cherub turned into Nephilim, and now the seraph, the redeemed of the earth, say so. Holy, holy, holy cries out. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. And the angels cried, holy, holy is the Lord. So it sounds like a far out story. Been chewing on this for 24, 25 years and more and beyond for the translation, the teleportation, that I'm not stuck in any realm, not stuck on this earth. I'm not earthy. I don't have concrete galoshes. I don't have anchors. You're trying to go forward, a guy puts the boat in high gear and somebody throws the anchor out. Well, the boat goes up and then it sinks. Jonah says, just throw me overboard. Well, we're not trying to be like Jonah. So comprehend, go back through it, like and subscribe, and listen to it several times, because we're being translated, and that's why the Q finally had to be unveiled to whatever degree, and it's still real sketchy. Why Q? Why the 17th letter of the alphabet? Why 1117? Why do people see 1111 and then they see 111, 222, 333, 444, 44, 777, 7? Because in the book of Revelation, it has all these 7s. Now, it doesn't all happen at once. First of all the books, the seals are removed off the books. You are a book. Paul said you're a living letter, living epistle. You are a book. First and foremost, God relieves the seals off of your understanding, so you're not just a manly, hard-headed guy punching his head against the wall and not comprehending. Removes those seals. Then the vials can be poured out, which is being poured out now. It is somewhat simultaneous, but you got to bank on the 7 trumpets. You are one of the books. because there's 7 different types of revelation. So you got the priest, the king, Jesus, which we're supposed to be like, which was done away with, but now reenacted, is the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, the royal priesthood. Then you have the fivefold, the evangelist, pastor, teacher, apostle, prophet. But now in order to come into 7, you reinstall the king priest, which is Jesus, your relationship with him, to become a royal priest after the order of Melchizedek to applicate. Even Melchizedek didn't realize he was going to go beyond. So when I saw Melchizedek lay his hands on Jesus, both hands, so Jesus could be the last sacrifice, Melchizedek started sobbing and weeping because he could feel, he could see the future. He revelated. His whole body was quivering. Spiritual body was quivering. The king of Salem, the high priest forever and forever, had no mother, had no father, was going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He was beside himself in awe that it was going to launch all of creation higher and himself, which was a shock to his system. So is this a shock? Shouldn't be. I'll get a taser out. You lay on the ground, see how much you can handle. So, to be launched into the 3rd millennial day, we're in spiritual time. We're in the 3rd day time. We're no longer stuck in the past. We're no longer into the future. We're way beyond the present time that changes all time, changes the galaxies, to where we're the creatures of the 6th kind, because on the 6th day God created man in his image. In his image. Jesus said you'll be like unto angels. And some will not be given in marriage and be married. Some still will be, depending on your calling and your comprehension and how much your brain tries to hold you back because you like those heavy boots, those heavy shoes. You like to drag that ball and chain around because you like to be earthy. Instead of heavenly minded, the seraphs. The seraphs sing the song day and night with the angels, holy, holy, holy. The angels cried, holy, holy, holy. So all the angels and the saints that went before us are all on the edge of their chairs in the 3rd heaven, waiting to unveil the new babies, the new creatures of the 6th kind, which are way beyond the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th kind, way beyond everything that's extraterrestrial, that's no longer carrying the ball and chains around. Terra means earthiness or earth. So why the evil people read tarot cards, earth cards, tarot cards, instead of going to God, find out what God says. They're grasping at straws. They're casting lots. So who gets the short stick? Pick up your cross and follow me, Jesus said. Take up the burden of Jesus, where the man helped Jesus carry the cross. You take up the burden and become like him, with him, through him. And, much needs to be said. Need to repeat what we're being told. And then need to go back and rewatch, write down, research the books. We're going beyond, way beyond the historical New Test, past test, into the 3rd millennial, which the graduation for many of us is in April, so that many can partake of the revelation of Jesus Christ, and many be catapulted, launched into these new creatures. Nothing will be withheld, past, present, future. In the body, out of the body, I know not, Paul said when he was caught up. And what's new man 14 years ago. I'm talking about me 20 years ago. But Paul, 14 years ago, which was a long time ago, caught up to the 3rd heaven, in the body, out of the body, I know not, which he could barely comprehend, could barely explain to anybody. But he wrote about it so that you can go farther than he ever did with Jesus. So yeah, we're getting a little lengthy out here, but like and subscribe. We don't need the prophetic. The prophetic is pathetic at best. You go out on the internet and you try to hear all this stuff, and they're just grasping at straws. They're trying to get you to fear. The latest ones, they're all trying to get you scared and scarred and scared of fear, into the 4/8, April 8th, the solar eclipse. And they're even closing some of the schools. Oh, they're going to work from home on the solar eclipse because, we're all scared. God did not give you a spirit of fear. He gave you a sound mind. Did not give you a spirit of fear. So they're saying, stock up on food, do this and that and the other, be all scared. I think I just put some extra Slim Jims in my car. Or maybe I ought to get some of that licorice, that red licorice. So, yeah. I don't know, guys. Do not have fear. Hindsight's 2020. The enemy keeps releasing spirit of fear. So you won't graduate. Do you want to graduate? Or you don't want to graduate? You want to hide under the bed? Like that old story where the little kid, he was home and mom and dad was gone, and he said just want to stay and play with his toys, and thunder and lightning storm came up. Little boy hid under the bed. Man, I wish somebody was here with me, he said, because he was home alone. And the Lord says, I am with you. But then the little boy thought for a second. He said, but I need somebody with skin on them. Somebody with skin on them. So, are you going to go beyond your skin? Are you going to go beyond your flesh that has all these fears? Or are you going to wake up into the new day, the third day? Yeah, you're going to have to listen to this video a few times. So, go where no man has gone before. Not spirit man. It's like no man can see God and live. It meant man, not spirit man. You can no longer live as an earthen creature if you've been to the third heaven and have the wedding garment, the cloak of humility, the coat of humility, which is an inside coat. Inside cloak. It's not even a cloak, it's not even a coat. It's humility. To partake of the marriage supper of the Lamb and get rid of all your fears. With 2 wings he flew. 2 wings covers his face, so you can't tell. You cannot tell which men these are that turned into seraphs that are seraphs now. 2 wings that cover his feet or his shoes. So you can't tell by the shoes he wears, can't tell by the face. And you can't tell by the heart. The heart gets the wings, the heart-to-heart connection gets the other 2 wings. The 6th kind, the seraphim. But touch the coal to his lips, Isaiah 6. My sin is gone, and I've been forgiven. Launch now. God bless you. Love you. Like and subscribe. Amen. We'll talk soon.